this next feature is kind of cool because it allows you to fine tune kind of the sound quality of what you're listening to, and it has some other kind of hidden features. It says sound enhancer. We'll go ahead and tap that.
And you know what I usually say with this one? I tell people we're now delving into a little bit deeper into the fine tuning of the device. A lot of my patients, I would probably say the majority, don't spend a lot of time in this sound enhancer. But I have some that really like to play with it and tinker with it and adjust it and fine tune it, which is fine. And so we're delving now into some of the deeper stuff.
Yep. So one feature right off the bat, you see an equalizer. It says bass, mid-range, and treble. So that's going to affect how you hear some things. So if you're listening to music, a lot of people will take that right up and say, oh, I like that. But if you're listening to speech and you don't want a lot of background noise, you probably need to slide that right back. And if you've played with it and you're wondering, oh boy, I think I've screwed it up, in the bottom left corner it says reset. That's my favorite. Just boom, you're back to normal, resets everything.
The flat line indicates where we've programmed your hearing aids, back to baseline, back to where you should be. A lot of my patients will ask, well, how do I know if I want treble up or bass down? You know, in their minds, it's not intuitive. When would I want to play with this? And don't feel bad if you feel that way. If you feel like you do understand that a little better and want to tweak your treble and bass a little bit, by all means, go ahead.
And counsel with your doctor before playing with it. Don't just, you may willy-nilly play with it, but you might want to get a little deeper understanding of what you're doing, because for every pro for a certain environment, it may be a negative con for another environment.
Yeah. So for example, speech clarity is usually in the treble. So if you want a little more speech clarity, you can hit that. In fact, it's kind of fun. I'll show my patients sometimes. I'll say, if you actually hit the speech clarity button that we just showed you, and then you come into your equalizer, you come into your sound enhancer, you can see what it did. It turned up the treble, up the midtones, and down with the bass.
Interesting.
So, anyway.
Yep. Fun.
Well, in the sound enhancer below the equalizer, there's a couple of other little handles here. You'll find that these features are only available in the higher level products again.
That's right.
So if you're in a 5-level Vivia,
or a 4,
still a great product.
Or a 3.
A 3.
They don't have these extra features down here.
That's right. But in the 9 level, you've got some fun features. One of them has to do with your noise reduction. And you can see if I kind of touch it and hold my finger on it, it says right now the noise reduction is mild. It even gives you this fancy little diagram. It shows some noise around you. If I slide that up, it takes it up to moderate noise reduction. So now we're going up to where it's a little bit more intense. I can bring it up even more to considerable. Whew. And we can go all the way to the end to strong. So there's some different levels of noise reduction that you can play with. And sometimes that's kind of fun to play with as well.
I like it. And then the last one says wind noise reduction. So wind noise reduction is pretty much the device trying to seek out a certain frequency of sound. And because wind is going to be somewhere in the 5 to 7,000 range, depending on the wind characteristics, it's really going to be reducing those high frequencies, those very, very ultra high frequencies, to try to help the patient be a little more comfortable. You can see I have the device programmed with just a mild amount, as it says, but as Dr. Whitaker was saying, as you slide up, you can go to medium, or you can say, hey, I'm golfing and it is windy out there today. I'm going to crank up the wind noise or the wind reduction to try to be a little more comfortable. You can see that the optimal spot where I've programmed it is highlighted, so I can just bring it right back there. And if you forget, say you've played with something, you can always hit the reset button and it just takes everything back to the standard baseline of what you and your doctor did when you were last in the clinic and making adjustments. So.
Easy. And maybe last thing I'll show you, this last little feature here is add a favorite. Let's say you are a golfer and you find that every time you go golfing, you make the same adjustment. You say, I take my treble down, and for some reason when I'm out golfing, I take that all the way up. I just leave that there. You say, that's where I like it when I'm golfing, and every time I go golfing, I have to do that. If you hit add a favorite, it's kind of a cool thing. Let me try it again.
There you go.
If I actually touch it, you can name it. And guess what I'm going to name it?
Pluto?
Donald.
Donald. Golf.
Golf is better. I was going to go Donald, but golf makes more sense. So let's do golf.
For some reason, Donald makes sense for everything you're doing today.
So there we go, golf.
Okay.
And then if we come out of this setting, now, you've just created your own custom program.
That's right.
Called golf.
So you're cruising along, you're doing well, you're at work, you're in clinic, and all of a sudden, you got tea time, and right before you jump in the golf cart,
golf.
Now you're ready.
Now you're ready. You don't have to go in and fiddle any more than that. Kind of cool.
Very cool.
You can create many of these favorites. Off the top of my head, I don't know how many you can make, but I've seen patients with lots.
Well, I had a patient just recently came in, and they had 3 of these little stars, and they all had names.
Yeah.
So I created an animal, but this individual really likes to tinker, likes to play around. And you know what? Having the ability to make a very custom program for very specific listening environments, it's a great idea.
It's kind of
fun.
fun.
And it's easy.
It's easy, yeah.
Okay, everybody, we so appreciate you watching the video today. If you've liked what you've seen, please like it, subscribe to our channel. It means the world to us, but it also means the world to other people who are trying to figure out what's going on with their hearing health. So thank you for watching.